Facebook friends and family. I know the title of this video, Good, Evil, and Love, is going to be interesting. Interesting response from people. And I'm going to start here. So even if you look at the word evil, it's live spelled backwards. It's very simple, right, to see that. And I think what happens is we get intellectually caught up in evil, or even just like good versus bad and things like that, because we all have a choice and we've all done things that I would say are probably, if we look at evil as just the involution of life, I'm sure we've done things, even unconsciously, that are in alignment with that. So it's a little bit too simplistic to think about just good and evil. But what's interesting to think about, and like, because we see this is the one thing I think it's important to really understand. There are many people who want to transform or transmute, right, these detrimental forces into something beneficial, into something life-affirming. There's a lot of this kind of like layover, or kind of like laying over of this it's almost like false love. It's all I could say. It has a love that doesn't have a deep, it feels like foundless. So it's like that kind of love and light, right? You can feel that what's really necessary that people don't understand is that there are depths of looking at or facing really nasty things, really detrimental forces, and still choosing love. And it's like you just keep digging deeper and digging deeper, and again it's like, okay, I'm facing this fuckery and sorcery and this thing again and this thing again and this thing again. Are you going to still choose love? And love means a lot of things. Love has a lot of subjective meaning for people. But one of the things that I think is important, and I think is something that is missing in the light worker ways of understanding, let's say, good and evil, the work that needs to be done, right? It's the love that you need in order to transmute detrimental into beneficial, or from involution to evolution, true evolution, or from lies to truth, is embodying great care for yourself no matter what. It's really difficult because people do this very strange, interesting kind of like, well, I don't want to upset that person. Right? We do that. And when we do that, we are saying, I don't care for myself. Like, if we choose to please that other person, or not offend or not get that other person upset, but meanwhile there's something we are trying to express that's very important for us to show that, like, this embodiment of care for self, then we're basically signaling we don't care for self. So we have this, it's important to understand that we can't do this people pleasing. It's gotten to that point to understand that, people who can't see the truth, they can't see it. They're so ingrained in the lies, but they're making it a normalcy. They don't even understand. They can't even perceive the harm they're doing to themselves or their children, if they have children, by indoctrinating them into this way of being. And when I see a parent putting a mask on a child, I have a reaction. I have a reaction because I know they're harming an innocent child. And I know they don't know any better, and there's a part of me, I want to have compassion for that person, but at this point, the compassion that I need to have is the fierce compassion of care I show for myself. And I have to be relentless in that care. And that's the kind of thing that we need in order to be able to transmute a lot of this detrimental crap into something beneficial. And I'm talking about really doing this on the astral levels, on the energetic levels. You won't be an effective transmuter if you are not saying primarily, I have great care for myself. I have great care for this truth that I'm speaking right now. So a lot of people, will react to what I say. I don't really care. I'm saying this in a softer tone. It's coming through and naturally in a softer tone. But the truth is that I have to be like a pit bull with truth. And people really need, I'll just give you a couple of analogies that are my favorite. I used to say, we don't want to hit someone over the head with a cast iron pan of truth. But guess what? I actually think we need that dose of truth right now. That is the appropriate dose of truth now. Or my other one, which if we're those who like the Lord of the Rings, this is, you have to speak with the tone of Gandalf's staff as it's clocking the King of Rohan on the head to get the influence of Saruman out of his head. Sauron. I don't like. There's Sauron and Saruman. Sauron, out of his head, out of his being, out of his decision making, out of his body. And I'm going to share a dream that I had. And in dream time, I'm very consciously doing work. In dream time, I'm not just going to sleep and not setting up some kind of energetic container. And when the whole thing started with Chrissy Teigen and her, everyone coming at her on Twitter, like what she was posting. Well, I had a dream about her, and I dreamt we were in a temple, and she had a 5-year-old girl with her who was inconsolable. I was in the temple with them, and there was no kind of in the moment that I was there and seeing everything and standing next to them and trying to console and seeing what I could do for this 5-year-old, and then realizing Chrissy Teigen is holding this child, and there's this temple, and it doesn't look like the next thing that's going to happen for this child is good. And and then that dream, I got in front of her, and she wouldn't look at me. She couldn't see me, right? In the dream, even she couldn't see me. And I actually grabbed in the dream. I grabbed her face, Chrissy Teigen, and made her look at me. And I was like, "You will not cause harm to this child." And I took my hand and right in her heart chakra. And it was the same effect as the clocking of the head of Gandalf on the King of Rohan's consciousness. And something slinked away and was very weakened. If you don't know how to organize your energy or have experience with working on the astral, you should not attempt this. This is something that's happening in my dream state naturally, but also because I know how to set up a space before I go to sleep for great protection, because I know that I'm doing that work anyway. And I can do that work. So that is something that happened, right? That was a dream, but that happened on the astral. And that after I did that 5-year-old child was just gone, out of that person's arms and gone. She was, that it couldn't even hold her anymore. So there's a lot of things that these, I don't even know if I want to call them humans, but I don't know what to call them, but these things masquerading as humans do on energetic and astral realms, it's very detrimental to humans. And the only way I can do that work is to have great care for myself. And there are a lot of ways you have to have care for yourself. You have to care for the way you think about yourself. You have to care for the way you feel about yourself. You have to care in the way that you act. And that, to me, is what love is. That's what self-love is. I'm not always perfect. Like, I'm not always perfect in doing that and standing and embodying that. But now I have to. So there's a lot of changes I'm making in my life based on that. Because if I don't embody that level of self-love through self-care, then I can't do this work that's very, very important. And it just, I'm endeavoring to try to help other people who can do this, to organize, who know they can do it but don't have the energetic alignment yet to do it. They know they don't have it. It's creating some kind of, it can create like a discord between your physical experience in life and what's happening energetically or on the astral realms. And we don't want that, right? We have to have a more coherent alignment to do that work, and that comes from care. It comes from care. And there are times that I care so much, right? And I care for the truth, and it's important. But there are times where before I would be much more yielding to people and much more understanding, and there are times I get caught up in that empathy. Right? But I can't anymore. I realize that is a misalignment with self-care. So, I don't really care if I offend you. What I really care about is the truth. I really want people to understand. And I don't see I see people that just don't get it. I can feel they don't have that level of understanding of what needs to be done for themselves, or what they need to embody for themselves, to do that work with great precision, right? With real compassionate care for self. And you have to have it. You absolutely have to have it. So if you have questions or anything that you want to share about that, then just tag me in the comments below. And again, I'll just reiterate, it's this level of care. It's a level of care for yourself in the face of things that really don't want you to care for yourself. They want you to give up care for self, for soul connection, for your body. They want you to give up care of your own body. They want you to give up care of the way that you think, and they just want you to think the way that they're telling you to think. And today I feel sad because I have that empathic sensibility. I feel very sad because we're watching. Just go look at what the protesters, the kind of violence and destruction they're carrying out. And you have to understand that this is not about race. So those of you here's where I'm going to get a little bit sharper. Those of you who are stuck on the race narrative, for whatever reason, because you have white guilt, I'm just going to say that very clearly, because you've been manipulated into white guilt, or because you don't really understand the big picture, you're gonna need to start opening your eyes to understanding that people don't necessarily need sensitivity training, or they don't need to be called fragile, right? If someone's accusing you of fragility, some type of fragility based on your skin tone, they don't understand what's happening. That whole book needs, in my opinion, needs to go. So what I want to say is that we will never make good decisions. We will never come into a balanced way of engaging with one another through embodying care for ourselves and one another if we are being sold a narrative of even correction to racism in the way that it's being portrayed now. What really needs to happen is to understand that we need to come together. And I want to say that we're all humans, but I'm starting to understand that a lot of us don't even have those human elements in our DNA. Some don't. They just don't. But we need to come together for great care for one another. The people that, the race of people, let's just say it this way, that desire to be sovereign beings, that desire to be, to care for self and one another, based on sovereignty and based on universal law and based on what's immoral based on universal law, which is the laws of nature, laws of creation, cosmic law, all that. We need to stick together. We need to come together. And I will just say this again. What is immoral is theft of life, which is murder, theft of freedom to choose, which is coercion, theft of sexual consent, which is rape, theft of privacy, theft of property, intellectual and physical, and when I say theft of life, murder, we're talking about calculated murder of taking someone's life or life force energy, even if they're still alive, right? We are not talking about having to defend yourself against a force of violence that wants to take your life. That you have every right to do. So if we all don't understand that this is what is immoral based on the laws of creation, laws of nature, universal law, cosmic law, we can never come together as a sovereign group of beings. If we're stuck on that race narrative, if we're watching this, and really, if any of you can sit here and justify to me the level of violence that's being carried out as necessary to heal racism, we're not, I would say just go away. That's the most conscious thing I could say. So I think we've got to get this, because I'm still seeing people stuck on the race narrative in the way that's still causing division, even though they don't think it's causing division, but it is. Because we have to come together through sovereignty. We do. And understand what that means. And I'm trying to give you all the basis of what it means and how if you understand what is immoral based on sovereignty and natural law, you will never treat someone less than you treat yourself. And if you start to embody self-care in that very important way, you will become a natural transmuter for these energies without a lot of effort. So that's my share for today. Again, feel free to comment or ask questions below. Just tag me. Lots of love and aloha. Bye.